Welcome to Christhood Chronicles, Episode 1. This is the first episode of a new series that I have been planning for a long time about how to explore and experience Christ consciousness in the context of the original teachings of Jesus Christ, and why he is such an important figure, why the only way to truly understand your higher self is through his teachings. And there's so many nuances of this. I want to explore all of these things in the series. There's obviously been many other saints and avatars and beings of great light through the ages, but I want to really explore who I have found to be my own personal guru and master that just opens the door to truly experiencing oneness with God. And so the series is about exploring his original teachings and how there's kernels of truth scattered through the modern New Age movement about Christ consciousness and your higher self, and the whole idea of people who disagree with the concept of original sin. And I just want to be able to share what I've learned about how the entire Christian religion is in many ways just constrained by a wall of lack of experiential union with the Holy Spirit and Jesus and his teachings, that everyone has an access point within them, an individualized expression of God, the universal Father, which he calls the Christ self. So everyone has an access point within them into experiencing oneness with God through the Christ self. And it's so incredibly simple, but there's just so many nuances and pitfalls and challenges in the human journey that keeps us from experiencing this. And the concept of Christ consciousness in New Age circles is incredibly valid and healing. But the trouble is, people on a spiritual path, eclectic people that are exploring things on their own, they are often trying to reinvent the wheel of spiritual experience. And this comes from a point of pride and seeking to amass knowledge and understanding on a human egoic level. However, the magic of a truly accessible and fully realized master like Jesus that went all the way is he showed us how to do all of this already. And one of the prerequisites for doing this is following his teachings, obviously, but it's being humble, to be as a child, like it said in the Bible. To be humble is to know that while there is a image of God within you, an individualized aspect of universal divine presence, while it's equal in nature to the masters such as Jesus, it's not equal in magnitude. Obviously, we as humans at our current level are not able to do miracles. We're not able to do things like Jesus. We're not able to live a life without sin at all like he did, because there's so many challenges in the world. And so we're equal in nature, but not equal in magnitude. And what that means is everyone has the seed of Christ in them. There is a Christ self in every person, which is the mediating presence between their human self and their divine self. And that is the part that is one with Jesus. That part is existing in potential within each of us. We all have the potential to live like Christ and to know Jesus, which means to know who we really are, our identity in God, not as a potential somewhere in the unconscious mind, but as a embodied reality, fully conscious in the conscious mind. And so I feel as if I'm rushing a bit too much in this video, but there's just a astronomical amount of information and love that I've discovered within my own heart that I want to share. And it's also simple. You know, everyone is responsible for following the laws of spiritual. It feels weird to say following the laws of God, but everyone knows what that means. Don't hurt others, don't harm others, don't harm yourself, because the Spirit of God lives in you. If you harm yourself, you're harming God. And being able to maintain a resonance with those laws creates something called purity in your mind and heart. We'll talk a lot about that in this series. Purity over pleasure is a skill that you must develop to really progress on what one of my most favorite teachers, Elizabeth Clare Prophet, calls the path of personal Christhood. You know, for a lot of people who go to church, their spiritual expansion and movement and rising up into resonance with Jesus, it ends at blind faith. And it's very sad, because the teachings of Jesus are he said to imitate me. If you love me, follow my laws. And when you do that, you begin to experience that what he was describing as his oneness with the Father is what each of us can experience. And it's not about belief, it's about the testimony of the Holy Spirit in your own heart. You can feel the presence of God in you as like the most real thing you can imagine, more real than the outer world. And to do this, you just have to begin to understand that there's a very fine edge of humility and knowing that your human self is so tiny and insignificant, and in the sense of original sin and whatnot, the human self is frail and makes lots of mistakes. But at the same time, deeper inside of you is the seed of Christ, and it's infinitely pure. It's equal in nature to Jesus, but it's not equal in magnitude yet, because we haven't learned to nurture it properly. We haven't been humble enough to ask for help and let the wisdom of Jesus that's already realized guide us. He keeps the flame for us when we can't, and we just have to be humble enough to receive it. And that's what these Christhood Chronicles series is going to be about learning from and truly meeting the great, wondrous King of Kings, Lord of Lords, my Lord, my lover, my King, Jesus Christ. And this is his hour, and we're going to explore it together.